The rate at which their bodies raced around the field, I learned the other reason they waited for a thunderstorm to play when Jasper, trying to avoid Edward's infallible fielding, hit a ground ball toward Carlisle. Carlisle ran into the ball and then raced Jasper to the first base. When they collided, the sound was like a crash of two masses falling boulders. I jumped up in concern, but they were somehow unscathed. "Safe!" Esme called in a calm voice. Emmett's team was up by one. Rosalie managed to flare around the base after tangling up in one of Emmett's long flies. When Edward caught the third out, he sprinted to my side, sparkling with excitement. "What do you think?" he asked. "One thing's for sure. I'll never be able to sit through dull old Major League Baseball again. And it sounded like you did so much of that before," he laughed. "I am a little disappointed," I teased. "Why?" he asked, puzzled. "Well, it would be nice if I could find just one thing you didn't do better than everything else on the planet." He flashed a special crooked smile, leaving me breathless. "I'm up," he said, heading for the plate. He played intelligently, keeping the ball low out of the reach of Rosalie's always ready hand in the outfield, gaining two bases like lightning before Emmett can get the ball back in play. Carlo knocked one so far to the field, with a boom that hurt my ears, that he and Edward both made it in. Alice slapped them dainty high fives. The score constantly changed and the game continued, and they razzed each other like any street ball players as they took turns with the lead. Occasionally Esme would call them to order. The thunder rumbled on, but we stayed dry, as Alice had predicted. Carlisle was up to bat, Edward catching, when Alice suddenly gasped. My eyes were on Edward as usual, and I saw his head snap up to look at her. Her eyes met and something flowed between them in an instant. He was at my side before the others could ask Alice what was wrong. "Alice?" Esme's voice was tense. "I didn't see. I couldn't tell," she whispered. All the others were gathered by this time. "What is it, Alice?" Carlo asked with the calm voice of authority. "They were traveling much quicker than I thought." "I guess he had the perspective wrong before," she murmured. Jasper leaned over her, his posture protective. "What changed?" he asked. "They heard us playing, and it changed their path," she said contrite, as if she felt responsible for whatever had frightened her. 7 pairs of quick eyes flashed in my face and away. "How soon?" Carlo said, turning toward Edward. A look of intense concentration crossed his face. "Less than 5 minutes. They're running. They want to play." He scowled. "Can you make it?" Carlo asked him, his eyes flicking toward me again. "No, not caring," he cut short. "Besides, the last thing we need is for them to catch the scent and start hunting." "How many?" Emmett asked Alice. "3," she answered tersely. "3," he scoffed. "Let them come." The steel bands of muscle flexed along his massive arms. For a split second it seemed much longer than it really was. Carlo deliberated. Only Emmett seemed unperturbed. The rest stared at Carlo's face with anxious eyes. "Let's just continue the game," Carlo finally decided. His voice was cool and level. Alice said they were simply curious. All this was said in a flurry of words that lasted only a few seconds. I listened carefully and caught most of it, though I couldn't hear what Esme now asked Edward with the silent vibration of her lips. I only saw the slight shake of his head and a look of relief on her face. "You catch, Esme," he said. "I'll call it now." And he planted himself in front of me. The others returned to the field, wearily sweeping the dark forest with their dark eyes. Alice and Esme seemed to orient themselves around where I stood. "Take your hair now," Edward said in a low, even voice. I obediently slid the ribbon out of my hair and shook it out around me. I stated the obvious. The others are coming now. Yes. Stay very still. Keep quiet. And don't move from my side, please. He hit the stress in his voice well, but I could hear it. He pulled my long hair forward around my face. That won't help, Alice said softly. I can smell her across the field. I know. A hint of frustration colored his tone. Carlo stood at the plate and the others joined the game half-heartedly. What did Esme ask you? I whispered. He hesitated for a second before he answered. Whether they were thirsty, he muttered unwillingly. The seconds ticked by. The game progressed with apathy now. No one dared hit harder than a bunt, and Emmett, Rosalie, and Jasper hovered in the infield. Now and again, despite the fear that numbed my brain, I was aware of Rosalie's eyes on me. They were expressionless, but something about the way she held her mouth made me think she was angry. Edward paid no attention to the game at all, eyes and mind ranging the forest. I'm sorry, Bella, he muttered fiercely. It was stupid, irresponsible to expose you like this. I'm so sorry. I heard his breath stop, and his eyes zeroed in on right field. He took a half step, anchored himself between me and what was coming. Carlisle, Emmett, and the others turned in the same direction, hearing sounds of passage much too faint for my ears. Chapter 18. The Hunt. They emerged one by one from the forest edge, ranging a dozen meters apart. The first male into the clearing fell back immediately, allowing the other male to take the front. Orienting himself around the tall, dark-haired man in a manner that clearly displayed who led the pack. The third was a woman. From this distance all I could see of her was that her hair was a startling shade of red. They curled ranks before they continued cautiously toward Edward's family, exhibiting the natural respect of a group of predators as they examined a larger, unfamiliar group of his own kind. As they approached, I could see how different they were from the Cullens. Their walk was cat-like, a gait that seemed constantly on the edge of shifting into a couch. They dressed in the ordinary gear of backpackers, jeans and casual button-down shirts, and heavy weatherproof fabrics. The clothes were frayed though wear, and they were barefoot. Both men had cropped hair, but the woman's brilliant orange hair was filled with leaves and debris from the woods. Their sharp eyes quickly took in the more polished, urbane stance of Carlyle, flanked by eminent Jasper, stepped guardedly forward to meet them. Without any seeming communication between them, they each straightened into a more casual, erect bearing. The man in front was easily the most beautiful, his skin olive tone beneath a typical pallor, his hair a glossy black. He was of a medium build, hard-muscled of course, but nothing next to Emmett's brawn. He smiled an easy smile, exposing a flash of gleaming white teeth. The woman was wilder, her eyes shifting recklessly between the men surrounding her, her chaotic hair quivering in a slight breeze. Her posture was distinctly feline. The second man hovered unobtrusively behind them, slightly than her leader, his light brown hair and regular features both nondescript. His eyes, though completely still, somehow seemed the most vigilant. Their eyes were different, too. Not the gold or black I'd come to expect, but a deep burgundy color that was disturbing and sinister. The dark-haired man, still smiling, stepped toward Carlyle. We thought we heard a game, he said in a relaxed voice with the slightest of French accents. I'm Laurence. These are Victoria and James. He gestured toward the vampires beside him. I'm Carlyle. This is my family. Emmett and Jasper, Rosalie, Esme and Alice, Edward and Bella. He pointed us out in groups, deliberately not calling attention to individuals. I felt the shock when he said my name. Do you have room for a few more players? Laurent asked sociably. Carlisle matched Laurent's friendly tone. Actually, we're just finishing up, but we'd certainly be interested another time. Are you planning to stay in the area for long? We're heading north, in fact, but we were curious to see who was in the neighborhood. We haven't run into any company in a long time. No, this region is usually empty except for us and the occasional visitor like yourselves.